Hello. I tried to record this earlier, but I was walking along as I was doing it, so it took me it was too long really, so I was going to try and say it in a bit more of a shortened version. I'm considering coming off the trail maybe today or tomorrow, because there's a few reasons why. It's a bit comfy. Reason one is the wild camping situation in England is a lot more difficult than I had anticipated. It's quite difficult to find a suitable piece of land because it's all rocky and bumpy and crazy or boggy. B, a stealthy piece of land if it is suitable, because it ends up maybe being actually on someone's farm or right obviously on someone's land. Then the camping situation in campgrounds is that a lot of them are shut, so that wouldn't normally bother me because I could find a wild camping spot, but the wild camping spots are very hard to find, and they're putting me in a position that I'll arrive somewhere, the campsite will be shut, because they don't always have signal to call ahead, so sometimes I've been just trying to wait till I get there, found out the campsite's been shut, and then having to panic find some wild camping because the nights are drawing in quite quickly now, seeing as we're reaching the end of the season. So I've been caught short a couple of times trying to find a decent place to stay, and I've ended up having zero sleep. The next thing is I am an introvert and I do like hiking on my own, but to an extent, and there seems to be not many people on this hike at all, to the extent that I will not see people for the whole day, and then the campsites are shut, so there's no one to see at the end of the day at a campsite, and when I'm wild camping there's no one around, or I'm in such a random area that there wouldn't be, and there's not very much camaraderie, because anyone that I have come across for a fleeting moment is just either day hiking or they're doing the trail with a day backpack and they're just going to a B&B or a hotel every night. So it feels like no one really is in the same boat. There's no sort of teamwork or camaraderie. It's a bit like, I don't know, it feels like this is going to be offensive to some people, but it feels like I'm the peasant that's camping and everyone else is middle class and they're just staying in hotels the whole way. It feels like Wainwright's middle class walk, if that makes sense. Yeah, most people that are doing it are staying in fancy hotels or B&Bs that cost anywhere between 40 to, oh, it's only a daddy long legs, 40 to £100 a night. So they're like long gone because they've got really light packs and there's like no one else around. Lastly, the weather having been so atrocious and me having been caught short a couple of times on some 2 secs. sorry, not caught short, that's the wrong phrase. Just walking in quite treacherous, extreme weather conditions for days on end. I feel like we're at the point where I'm at full disclosure now with everything. So just to mention, because it's relevant, I have PTSD. So when I was up on those ridge lines and I was in those kind of a little bit, not, you know, maybe slightly dangerous, not particularly dangerous, like hairy situations, ones that I was stuck on ridge lines that you couldn't just cut back off again. Like once you were up, you were up there for the whole day. But to me, it felt like I was stuck, and it felt quite panicky, and it was a bit anxiety inducing. Like I got through it all okay, but I was being battered by the wind and the rain all day, and I felt like I was stuck on a ridgeline. So my startle response is quite, like, it happens quite quickly with having PTSD, and I don't think I've quite come down from all of that. I still feel a bit almost like impatient and anxious, and like I want to be in control of everything when I know I can't be in control of everything because I'm hiking, and that's the way it is. You can't control things. But when I have a flare up of my PTSD, I feel like I want to control everything, and when I can't, it makes me more anxious. So yeah, that's another reason. And lastly, and this is a very privileged reason, I've hiked in so many places now that are absolutely jaw-droppingly gorgeous, and the lakes were absolutely beautiful, but now I've got into the Dales, I sort of feel like it's still pretty, but I sort of feel like I'm trudging through farmland and like livestock land and people's fields and stuff. It doesn't feel, compared to some of the places that I've seen, that the effort is worth the reward. The reward of, you know, the scenery and things that I'm seeing is worth the effort, especially as I'm halfway and I've already spent all of the money that I budgeted, because I ended up having to stay in an expensive B&B in the Lake District because my stove broke and all of that nonsense happened the other day. So I'm gonna end up dipping into more money that I can afford, but I'd rather not spend. So I can feel from my feelings about it, if I'd rather not spend that money, if I'm not just happily going, yeah, whatever, because I'm having a great time, who cares? That says it all, doesn't it, really? That if I don't think it's stunning and beautiful and rewarding enough to just spend the money, then I think that's a bit of a telltale sign as well. I just get this feeling that the only reason I'm doing it at this point, continuing on past the lakes, is to say that I've done the mileage. But I don't need to prove to anyone that I can do the mileage, because I can. I'm just in a bit of a mentally weird place, I think, and there's, you know, all those reasons that I've just listed that I'm not sure if I'm feeling it. So I think I'm going to stay overnight in Keld and see how I feel tomorrow, because I know that you shouldn't get off when you're having a bad day, or if you're in a weird frame of mind. But I was kind of in this frame of mind a little bit yesterday as well, so I don't know if it's going to go away. Obviously I want to be able to say that I've done it, but saying that I've walked 192 miles is a bit, it's neither here nor there. It's impressive, But I also, for me, this is something that I like to do because I enjoy it, and I enjoy being out in it, and I'm just not feeling it. I wish I was. I wish I was feeling it, but I'm not. And that's why my head's going, maybe I should save my money for something else another time that I will be feeling. I'm meant to be saving for the PCT. Maybe that's, you know, 150 quid. Probably by the time I finished it could end up going towards my pot for the PCT. But yeah, I just thought I'd put that out there because I'm sure other people have gone through things like this in the past and they've continued on and wish they hadn't, or they've nearly come off and then continued on and they were glad that they didn't come off. So I just thought I'd put that out there and see what you guys think. And I'm going to stop at Keld today rather than go all the way to Reeth, give myself a break. The sunshine is really gorgeous, so maybe I'll just have a bit of a sunbathe and some food at Keld and see how I am tomorrow. I've thought of another reason as well. I was trying to figure out how to describe it. It seems a bit of a difficult one to sort of get the gist across. So obviously I'm not expecting to be like spoon-fed, you know, walk down a red carpet or like a tarmac street or anything like that. You guys have seen that I walk on tough terrain, have no problems. Well, it's hard, but I've had no complaints about walking on tough terrain and things like that. But yeah, another thing that's a bit bizarre about this trail is that it's officially a trail, but it's almost as though it hasn't been created as a trail as and of itself. So it's as though people have got together and said, right, we want to get a route that goes from one coast to the next coast, and rather than using that as a way to create a trail in and of itself, they've grabbed loads and loads and loads and loads and loads and hundreds of thousands of tiny weeny existing public footpaths, which means that you're constantly all over the place, ducking and diving, dodging, switching, and it's not marked out well enough to do that because you're always switching from one to the other all over the place. So I feel like my eyes are constantly on my map rather than being able to aim for something and really get a good pace on. It's not marked out well enough to be switching all over the place like that. And with the way England is, we don't have loads of public land, so in between some of the sections of National Park, the majority of land here is privately owned, and once people have been walking through, like taking sections through private land over a period of time, it gets made into, like, I don't know the technicalities of it, but after a while of people cutting through sections of private land, it gets declared to be a public right-of-way. So you have a right-of-way to walk through someone's private property, essentially. And there is loads and loads and loads of rights-of-way on this trail. But in my mind, the problem about that is you're walking through lots of farms and properties, someone's land, someone's livestock land, and I think although it is a right of way for public, I don't think loads of people love that that's a thing on their land. So it's not made to be particularly accessible. So you'll climb over a stile, for example, and go into someone's private land, which is a right of way for the public, but they haven't really made it fun, if that's the word, to be in, because they probably don't care whether you walk through it or not, and would actually prefer for it to be as difficult for you to get through as possible. So I got to someone's, this is an example, someone's land the other day, and they kept cows on it, and it almost felt to me as though all of the cow crap had been scraped all the way down the field, and they'd purposely dumped it right in the area that you're meant to be entering the land to have your right of way. And I have found like tens and tens of examples of that. So the land is just like, has a huge like cesspit of animal crap, swampy, boggy, animal-y excrement crap, and yeah, and I think just because that's the way England is with its land ownership and the way it works with the public being able to access it, I'm not sure if it works out that well. So yeah, that's a whole, what I'm trying to say is that's kind of another reason for me that it's just not marked out properly enough, and it doesn't feel like an official trail. It just feels like someone has gone over a map and tried to connect all the different sections of tiny little weeny walking routes and public rights of way, and just said, oh yeah, then go there, they can go there, they can go there, yep, to get across to the other side of England. It doesn't feel like a proper like a trail that's kept and maintained as a trail. It feels different, and yeah, there's no maintenance to it whatsoever, and the markings are kind of crap. I don't know whether that makes me a bit fussy or what, but I'm just finding it a bit less than ideal in that respect as well. But yeah, I just thought I'd add that on because I want to give as much reasoning as possible as to why I'm thinking of coming off. And also I want to give you as much of my thoughts so that you can then give me feedback on what you think and the things that you've found, maybe if you've done it as well. Because I was talking to my friend, and he said, and he's also done the West Highland Way, he said yeah, he'd read that about this trail, but of course you never know until you're out here. You never know what it's gonna actually be like until you're on the trail. But yeah, he said that he'd read it was more like connecting public byways rather than an actual trail, and that he had a similar experience on the Hadrian's Wall walk. It felt like a load of little pathways that used to, back in the day, connect communities and villages, and that someone had just put a way through that to create the walk rather than created a whole new like trail. But yeah, so hit me up, do your worst in the comment section. I feel defeated is the wrong word. Defeated is the wrong word because it hasn't defeated me. I could physically do it, and it's not, I don't think this is a, oh it's so challenging so I'm just having a bit of a mental barrier. I think it's just not doing it for me. Hit me up. Let me know.